The Bible says a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. And if I were to paraphrase that or explain it in a very clear way, basically like once you do one thing wrong, it sets up everything else for failure. Because there are so many chains of events, and a lot of it starts in the family. It starts in the home, man. We talk about all these problems we have in society today. A lot of it would be fixed if we had the right focuses, the right priorities when it comes to family. Kids need a mother and a father. They need nurture and discipline. And yes, the mother might be able to give some discipline or whatever, every now and then. But it's not nearly as great as her being the nurturer and the father being the disciplinary. The father being the provider, and she's making the food. And she's, also homeschooling and stuff. This stuff is very important, man. And to think that you can raise a kid by yourself, but not nearly as good as you could raise a kid with a father in their life. Like, I've seen it time and time again. I give respect to like these single mothers that are working super hard. To a certain extent, I give them respect because they're working super hard. I mean, they're working their job, they're taking their kids to school and everything, and every now and then they might discipline them. But they're tired because they're exhausted. They're doing all this work, and also just the fact that they're a female, it makes it even harder. More doing all that work and stuff, but like eventually, like I've seen it so much because they get really tired from work. So what they decide to do is to just prioritize all their energy into work, and then they're not disciplining their kids. They're not teaching them that there's consequences to their actions and all this stuff. And also the young boys, they don't have a role model. All the dudes that they see in their life are the dudes that the single mother, sleep with or be with or whatever. And it's some thug, it's some degenerate, of course, because not trying to pick on them, but we all know, of course, that women choose terrible people as spouses. They always choose the guys that they knew were bad people, or that were on drugs or whatever, or that gangbang so-called, or whatever stupid thing. They always pick these terrible people, and that's a whole different subject, but I just want to say this real quick. I think one of the big reasons why they choose these degenerate guys is because they don't want the pressure of being with a good man, because being with a good man, you have to be a good woman. They don't want that pressure. They want to always be, the victim. They always want to be the person that's the better person, the sweeter. They don't want to be seen as the problem. So they pick somebody who is a problem so that they won't receive all that shame. Because, like, all these negative, that's why, maybe I shouldn't go off on a rabbit trail. Maybe I should, because I think this needs to be said. With all these so-called shaming tactics today, for instance, you say one thing, you instantly become, somebody will call you misogynist, somebody will call you transphobic, homophobic, somebody will call you a bigot, somebody will call you a Bible thumper, somebody will call you racist, somebody will call you a Trump supporter. Somebody just call you anything just because they don't like what you're saying. These shaming tactics, they work on women, but not nearly as much on men. Because if it's not true, I don't care what you call me. Yeah, call me blue. Yeah, you're ugly because your skin is blue. It's like, what? My skin's not blue, so why would that affect me? It's the same thing with these shaming tactics. I say one thing that the Bible says when it comes to relationships and family. They want to call me a misogynist. They want to call me homophobic or whatever, or a bigot. Go ahead, man. Call me all that stuff you want. But it's not true, so it doesn't affect me. That's a whole different thing. But with young boys, they need a role model. They need somebody to look up to and somebody to follow in their footsteps and stuff. Because little kids are blank slates, man. And I might be going off on another rabbit trail, but I think that's also why the LGBT alphabet community, let God burn them quickly, whatever. That community, they love these drag parties. They love bringing these kids to them, putting it in kids' minds, man. So you can teach a kid to be racist. You can teach a kid to be homophobic or whatever. You can teach a kid to be anything. You can teach a kid anything. They're just a blank slate. They don't have a certain state of mind. They're just there. They're just a sponge. And they know that, right now it might not seem that bad whenever you're teaching these kids about trans stuff or whatever. But the next generation, that's going to be imprinted in their mind. They're going to think that that's normal. The next generation is going to be a whole lot worse. You might think it's bad now. Oh, it's going to get worse. It's going to get a whole lot worse, man. The Bible talks about, as the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, as in the days of Lot, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. And I believe the second coming is the rapture. That's the same thing from my observation of the Bible. And whenever the rapture is going to come, preceding that is going to be a world that's like the days of Noah, because the Bible also says, as in the days of Noah, and like the days of Lot. Think about what it was like in the days of Noah. That's the reason why the flood happened, because all this violence, all the violence and misbehavior and people just running wild and everything and just doing whatever came to their mind. And because our hearts are wicked, we're wicked human beings. People just doing whatever they want, murder, violence, going wild and destroying the whole world. That, and in the days of Lot, think about what it was in the days of Lot. He lived in Sodom and Gomorrah. All that wicked perversion and stuff, all that nasty filth, all that stuff, all the weird transgender bending stuff. It's going to get so bad. I think it's bad now. It's going to get really bad. And also, man, I'm just kind of rambling. I'm talking about a whole bunch of things at once, man. I should have made a video on this in the past, but also a reason why, these communities love to attack children, before they hit puberty is because before you hit puberty, I don't know. Whenever I was a little boy, I was always attracted to girls. So I don't really know what it's like for everybody else. But, I remember when I did hit puberty, this raging surge where I was really attached to the idea of, touching a female and all that stuff and wanting to be around them. It's just natural when you hit puberty, you're just automatically attracted to the opposite gender. But they're attacking these kids before they hit puberty. So you might be able to convince a little kid that he's gay, or convince a little girl that she's gay or whatever, because they don't have those hormones in them yet, telling them that, you should encounter with the opposite gender. They don't have those hormones yet because they haven't hit puberty. So it's really perverting their mind. And also, you could affect those hormones when you take hormone suppressing medication, which could make them, again, believe that they're gay because they don't have those hormones telling them to get with the opposite gender. That was something else, but a little leavened it the whole lump, because because the Bible condemns cross-dressing, of course. It does. It doesn't matter how you want to put it or whatever. The Bible condemns cross-dressing because a man should look like a man and a woman should look like a woman. It's natural. That's the way that things should be. Think about it, though. Of course, men aren't supposed to wear skirts and dresses. Of course, everybody would say, oh, that's cross-dressing. Yeah, of course, that's cross-dressing. Because it's a man wearing women's clothing. So what's the opposite? What's the other way around then? What's a woman wearing man's clothing? Then all of a sudden you can't tell me anything. Because women can wear anything a man can wear. But of course, you're not supposed to wear a skirt or a dress as a man. Neither should a woman wear pants. That should be the article of clothing that separates the genders. Think I'm crazy, man. 100 years ago, you'd be arrested as a woman wearing pants. That was a law. It was mandatory in a lot of schools and everything. You would be arrested as a woman wearing pants. It's cross-dressing. That's something that I've heard, though. I haven't looked it up. That is something that I've heard, that it was illegal to cross-dress. That was cross-dressing, because it is. But, of course, the gut reaction, because, of course, women are emotional, they just instant gut reaction, that doesn't feel right, so they don't want to believe it. Because the reason why it doesn't feel right to them is they're thinking, how am I going to chase a career? how am I going to work hard? How am I going to do all this stuff while I'm wearing a skirt or a dress? I can't work this physical labor job while I'm wearing a skirt or a dress. No, you can't. But the thing is, you're not asking the right question. You're not talking about the right thing. The thing that really you should be talking about is the fact that you shouldn't be working. You should be at the home, taking care of the children, homeschooling, maybe homeschooling, I don't know. But at least cooking dinner, nurturing your kids and everything and taking care of them. You should be doing that. So of course you can do that in a dress or a skirt, but the things you can't do are the things that a man should be doing. But gender roles, they're just seen as a joke today, man. They're not taken seriously. And that's why this world's going to get wild, man. The lack of discipline that these kids have from being raised in single mother households is going to affect the next generation. As well, with all this gender flopping, all this weird stuff, that's going to heavily affect the next generation. Things are going to get a lot worse in almost every way. They're going to get a lot worse. Both parents are needed. I didn't say, suggested. They're needed if you want to raise a healthy child. A child that doesn't have this anger built into them. And the cycle, there's a huge cycle when it comes to single mother households. Because a lot of these single mothers, they were raised by single mothers a lot of their life. Not every one of them, but a lot of them. Or, an abusive stepdad or something, not their real dad, because they weren't raised with their real dad. They think it's okay to raise their kids without their real dad. So they give them a stepdad. Stepdad, that's not your real dad, man. It doesn't work as well. Of course, the kids will have some discipline. I was raised by a stepdad a lot of my life. My dad was still in my life every now and then. He'd take me on my birthdays and stuff to go get food and give me a video game. But I was raised by my stepdad. It wasn't the best, of course, but I was still disciplined. But it didn't feel right. Because I didn't know if my stepdad really loved me. I thought he was just whipping me just because he had some pain or whatever, anger in his heart. That's a whole nother topic. But man, a little leaven at the whole lump, man. You get one thing out of, because people scoff at some of the rules in the Bible and they say, oh, that's wild, that's stupid, that shouldn't be a thing. For instance, I was thinking about this morning. People scoff, they get mad at me whenever I tell them divorce is wrong. Divorce is wrong. Should not be allowed, should not be condoned. Divorce is wrong. It's happily wed until dead. You should be married until you die. Until one of you dies. And then you can get married to somebody else. Especially if you have kids, yes, you should get married to somebody else. But, people scoff at me and say, oh, what? So if I pick this terrible guy, that means I got to stay with him until I die? I got to raise these kids by this terrible dad? No, he's a terrible person. Why should I stay with him? He's so bad. You're not really asking the right question. The real question is, why did you pick him? Or the real question, even deeper, why didn't you have a father that would veto a bad guy like that away from you? Why didn't that happen? Now, I'm not saying it's your fault that you didn't have a father. But I am saying that a little leaven at the whole lump. The fact that you didn't have a father or your real father to raise you and didn't veto a bad guy away from you, that sets you up for failure in a lot of ways. Because now you're stuck with this terrible guy. You're going to make it even worse if you decide to divorce him. Because that's a sin. You shouldn't be doing that. One little thing that's wrong throws everything else out of whack, man. That is why, man. You can't look at the Bible and it's like, oh, I like this, but I don't like this. Or I like this, but I don't like that. I don't like this, but I love this. You can't do that, man. You got to take it or leave it, man. Because it's a package deal. It works all together. There's zero contradictions in the Bible. And when that comes to the stories and everything, but also with the doctrine, everything works together perfectly. The law of the Lord is perfect. It all has to be taken together, or else it's not going to work. You know, like, the Bible is a package deal, man. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I believe in Jesus, but I don't know if I don't know if He really made the earth and everything in 6 days. I think evolution made that. That's not. You must not really believe in Jesus, though, then, because the Bible says, "My sheep hear my voice and they follow me." You can't just listen to the Bible and not believe it if you're saved. If you believe in Jesus, you believe in the Word, because Jesus is the Word. So for you to say that you believe in Jesus, but you don't believe what it says in Genesis, but you don't believe the rules in Leviticus, I don't really know. That's not right. I can't believe that's a lie. That's not real. Only you must not believe in Jesus, though. Because he that is of God heareth God's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of God. That's what the Bible says. So if you wanna pick and choose what you want to believe, that's not Christianity, man. It's a package deal. It only works if you follow all of it. But I've beaten a dead horse. I've said that like 10 times. But thank you for watching. God bless.